John, the owner of a restaurant, was betrayed and sabotaged by the chef, leading to him having to sell the restaurant. However, he meets Emily and her daughter, who are homeless, and lets them stay to clean the restaurant. Emily turns out to be a talented chef and helps John restore the restaurant. Emily's ex-husband shows up and tries to take over the restaurant, but John protects Emily and chases him away. Let's explore this story together. John Connors owns a thriving restaurant with a loyal following and is renowned as one of the city's top chefs. His restaurant, Gourmet Grotto, is the talk of the town, attracting discerning diners from all over. They come to enjoy John's creative, flavorful dishes in a cozy space and impeccable service. Gourmet Grotto has become a community favorite, where people come not only to eat, but to enjoy an unforgettable culinary experience. However, John is unaware that his trusted chef is plotting to overthrow him. It all started about a year ago, when a new fast food joint, Burger Blitz, opened right around the corner from Gourmet Grotto. Suddenly, the customers who once flocked to John's door began to abandon him, lured by Burger Blitz's promise of cheap prices and fast food. John hopes this is just a passing craze, and that loyal customers will soon remember the quality and artistry of his cuisine. But as business continues to decline, John realizes something more sinister is going on. The truth finally came to light when John discovered that his head chef, James, a culinary genius, had been plotting to sabotage the restaurant. James seemed to be planning to move to a rival restaurant, but to secure his new position, he was instructed to gradually reduce John's customer base. James is jealous of the attention and praise that John receives. He wants to be a star and is willing to destroy everything John has built to achieve his goal. To achieve his goal, James started by making subtle changes to the menu, slowly but surely replacing high-quality ingredients with cheaper options. The dishes that were once the pride of Gourmet Grotto began to lose their luster. Customers began complaining about the decline in quality, and news spread that the restaurant was no longer the culinary destination it once was. James didn't stop there. He also sabotaged restaurant operations by intentionally understaffing and creating chaos in the kitchen. Meals took longer to prepare, and once perfect service became sloppy and disorganized. Disappointed customers began leaving the restaurant, instead choosing Burger Blitz for its fast and consistent service. By the time John learned of the betrayal and fired James, the damage had already been done. Customers left the restaurant in droves, and John found himself drowning in debt. Desperate to save his dream, he made the heartbreaking decision to sell the property. As John made his final rounds through the empty dining room, the once vibrant place was now eerily silent. He felt a deep sense of loss. Gourmet Grotto was once his passion and life's work, but now it's all gone. With a heavy heart, John walked towards the back alley, intending to lock the door one last time. But as he stepped outside, he noticed a movement in the darkness near the bushes. Cautiously approaching the area, he discovered a woman and a young girl huddled there, clearly in distress. The woman, named Lisa, quickly apologized, explaining that she and her 5-year-old daughter Grace had used the restaurant's back alley as a temporary shelter. They were used to getting food from waitresses, but with the restaurant now closed, they had nowhere else to go. John's heart sank when he realized they were homeless, their lives as chaotic as his own struggles. Moved by their situation, John made a split-second decision. "Stay," he told them. "And you can clean this place up in exchange for food and lodging?" Emily opened her eyes wide in disbelief. "Are you serious?" she asked, hugging Grace tightly. "We don't want to impose. We can look elsewhere." John raised his hand to signal her objection. "Please," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "I insist. You and your daughter deserve a safe place to stay, and I could use some help getting this place sorted." His voice trailed off, the weight of the decision to sell the restaurant still weighing heavily on his mind. Emily watched him for a moment, looking for any signs of ulterior motives, but all she saw was genuine compassion. She nodded slowly, a hesitant smile on her face. "Thank you," she whispered, her eyes sparkling with unshed tears. "This means more to us than you know." And so, Emily and Grace made themselves at home in the quiet of the empty restaurant. Throwing themselves into the work of cleaning and organizing the space, John was amazed at the efficiency and care with which they worked. Emily's attention to detail and Grace's infectious energy transformed the once neglected dining room. Over the next few days, John returned to check on their progress, and each time he found himself drawn deeper into the world of Emily and Grace. He learned that Emily had been a regular customer of Gourmet Grotto when she had first married a man named Thomas. But then, in a cruel twist of fate, Thomas abandoned them, leaving Emily and her daughter in poverty. When Emily shared her story, John felt a deep sympathy. He knows all too well the pain of having everything you've worked for ripped away. Seeing the resilience and determination in Lisa's eyes, the way she refused to let circumstances define who she was, only deepened his admiration. One afternoon, as John sat with Emily and Grace, sharing a meal she had expertly prepared, he made an unexpected suggestion. "When I reopen this place," he said, "I want you to be the chef." Emily opened her eyes wide in surprise. "You can't be serious," she stammered, her voice shaking. "I mean, I'm just a—" John raised his hand to signal her to be quiet. "I tasted your dish, Lisa," he said, his eyes steady. "It's extraordinary, and I think together we can make this place better than ever." For a moment, Emily was speechless, the weight of his words weighing heavily on her. Then a smile slowly spread across her face, and she nodded, her eyes bright with newfound hope. "Okay," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Let's do it." The day the potential buyers were expected to arrive, John felt both nervous and excited. This is his last chance to save his beloved restaurant, and he is determined to make it count. As potential investors filter in, John proudly shows off Lisa's cooking skills, confident that her dishes will seal the deal. And he was right. Investors were unanimously impressed, raving about the depth of flavor and artistic presentation of the dish. John watched with growing optimism as they tasted dish after dish, their expressions shifting from disbelief to genuine joy. But then, to John's horror, one of the investors turns out to be Lisa's ex-husband, Thomas. The man immediately recognized Emily and Grace, and his face contorted into a mixture of shock and anger. "What the hell is going on here?" Thomas roared. Thomas's voice echoed throughout the dining room. "Lisa, you get your ass over here and take that brat with you." Emily froze with fear. Grace felt her mother's distress, clinging to her dress, her eyes wide and frightened. John stepped forward, positioning himself between Emily and Thomas. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave," he said, his voice low and threatening. "This is my restaurant, and I will not tolerate any form of abuse or harassment." Thomas was undeterred. His eyes narrowed as he stared at John. "Oh, I'm not going anywhere," he sneered. "In fact, I'm about to make you an offer you can't refuse. This place is a gold mine, and I want it." John felt his blood boil. "I think you're forgetting something," he said disdainfully. "This is my restaurant, and I don't take kindly to people who threaten my staff." Thomas let out a harsh laugh. "Your employee," he scoffed. "That woman over there is my wife, and that kid is my daughter. I have every right to be here, and I'm not leaving until I get what's mine." John's eyes narrowed as he realized the extent of Thomas's depravity. "Emily is no longer my wife," he said in a steady, unwavering voice. "And Grace is not your daughter, not anymore." He turned to face the stunned investors, his expression determined. "Ladies and gentlemen," he declared, "I am afraid I cannot accept any offer from this individual." He gestured towards Thomas. "You see, his disgust is palpable. This man has a history of abandoning his family, leaving them destitute and homeless, and I won't let him near a restaurant, me or those I care about." Investors exchanged uneasy looks, clearly unsure of how to proceed. But then one of them, a respected businessman named Will James Sinclair, stepped forward. "Good, Mr. Connors," he said, his voice measured and calm. "It seems like you're in big trouble, but if what you say is true, then I'm inclined to believe you. And I must say, the dish your chef has prepared is truly exceptional. I'm expected to invest in your facility, on one condition. John felt a glimmer of hope. And what would that be, Mr. Sinclair? Sinclair's eyes glanced at Emily and Grace, a warm smile spreading across his face. I want you to continue to maintain this family as an integral part of the team. Their contribution to the success of this restaurant is undeniable, and I wouldn't have it any other way. John felt a surge of gratitude and nodded firmly. Done, he said, holding out his hand to Sinclair. Thank you, sir. This means the world to me and to them. With that, John turned to face Thomas, his expression hard. And as for you, Thomas, please leave here immediately. You have no place here, he said, his voice mixed with toughness. I advise you to leave now, and if I see you near this place or my family again, I will not hesitate to call the police to arrest you. Thomas opened his mouth to protest, but the look in John's eyes told him it would be futile. Muttering angrily, he stormed out, his dreams of cashing in on the restaurant's success crumbling around him. 3 months later, the restaurant has undergone an incredible transformation. The dining area was redecorated with warm, inviting colors and modern, elegant furnishings, creating a cozy yet sophisticated atmosphere. However, it's the kitchen that's the real highlight. A state-of-the-art facility specifically designed to suit Lisa's culinary talents. On opening night, the restaurant was packed with diners eager to experience the new and improved gourmet grotto. When John saw the bustling activity, a feeling of pride and relief filled him. Against all odds, he saved his dream, and he owes it all to the incredible woman who now heads his kitchen, Lisa. She, her sleeves rolled up and her eyes filled with determination, gave orders to her team of chefs, her movements smooth and efficient. The energy in the kitchen is contagious, and the aromas wafting out into the dining room are enough to make any gourmet hungry. As the evening continued, John couldn't help but glance at Lisa, marveling at the way she had changed not only the restaurant, but his life. She went from a homeless, desperate woman to the driving force behind the revival of Gourmet Grotto, and John couldn't help but feel deep admiration and affection for her. When the last course was served and the last guest had left, John found Emily in the empty dining room, her eyes sparkling with exhaustion and pride. Without saying a word, he approached her, his heart beating loudly in his chest. "Lisa," he said, his voice soft and full of emotion. "I don't know how to thank you for what you've done. This place, it's alive again, all thanks to you." Emily felt her cheeks heat up when she met his eyes. "I couldn't do it without you, John," she whispered. "You gave me a chance when no one else did. You believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself." John gently held her hand. "That's because you're extraordinary, Lisa," he said, his eyes sparkling with sincerity. "From the moment I met you huddled in that alley, I knew there was something special about you. And now, seeing you in action, leading the kitchen with such passion and skill..." He stopped, took a deep breath. "I don't want to lose you, Lisa. Never again." Emily held her breath as she realized the meaning of his words. "John, what are you talking about?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. In response, John knelt down on one knee, never taking his eyes off her. "Lisa, from the moment I met you, I knew you were special. You not only saved Gourmet Grotto, but you saved me too. I can't imagine my life without you anymore." He pulled out a ring, light sparkling in his eyes. "Lisa, will you marry me?" Emily choked up, tears sparkling in her eyes. She was speechless, but she nodded, a smile full of happiness on her lips. "Yes, John," she whispered, "I will marry you." John stood up and pulled Emily into his arms, a feeling of happiness filling him. "Thank you," he said softly. "Thank you for believing in me, in us." Emily looked into his eyes, her heart filled with love and hope. "Thank you, John, for saving my life and giving me a new family." And from there, they started a new chapter in their lives, building a future together full of promise and love. Gourmet Grotto is more than just a restaurant. It is also a symbol of resilience, love, and unwavering trust. "Will you marry me?" John said, his voice shaking with emotion. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. Emily looked at him with wide eyes in disbelief, her heart pounding in her chest. She never dared to dream that her life could take such an unexpected turn, that the man who saved her and her daughter from the brink of despair would now offer his heart to her. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she nodded, a bright smile on her face. "Yes," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "Yes, John, I will marry you." John breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't even realize he was holding his breath. In one smooth motion, he stood up and hugged Emily tightly, spinning her around the empty dining room. Their laughter echoed throughout the space, like a joyful symphony breathing new life into the very walls of Gourmet Grotto. As they hugged each other tightly, John knew that this was not just the reopening of his restaurant, but the beginning of a new chapter, a love filled with hope, and the promise of a brighter future that both people can imagine. The above story brings many emotions and valuable lessons about resilience, kindness, and love. Here are some personal opinions about the story. First, resilience and determination. John and Emily's stories both demonstrate resilience in the face of adversity. John did not give up when his restaurant fell into crisis, and Emily did not give up before being homeless. The two overcame difficulties and found strength in each other to rebuild their lives. 2. Compassion and help. John opened his heart and helped Emily and Grace when they needed it. His kindness and compassion created a new opportunity for Lisa, and this was rewarded with her dedication and talent, helping his restaurant revive. This is proof that one act of kindness can create big changes. 3. Love and respect. The relationship between John and Emily develops from mutual respect and admiration. John recognized Emily's talent and specialness early on, and Emily appreciated the trust and opportunity John gave her. Their love is not just romance, but also a deep connection based on trust and mutual support. 4. Rebirth and hope. Gourmet Grotto has not only been revived in terms of business, but is also a symbol of hope and new beginnings. The story shows that, no matter how great the difficulties we encounter, there is always a chance to be reborn and find happiness if we do not give up and are willing to embrace positive changes. In short, John and Emily's story is a wonderful testament to human strength in the face of challenges, and how love and kindness can help us overcome any difficulty.